And now, join Kevin Hart as he dives into the minds of some of your favorite celebrities. This is Gold Mines with Kevin Hart.
What up, world? You already know what it is. It's another episode of Gold Mines, and you know what I do. I get inside the minds of amazing people, and today will be no different because not just an amazing mind, I got an amazing personality, and I got an amazing heart and an overall amazing spirit, guys. I get excited to talk to people that I know. I get excited to talk to people that I love. More importantly, I get excited to bring those people to you. And today I get to bring an amazing talent to you. And somebody that I feel like we're going to get to know a little more about. Authentic conversations, man, done in the way that only I can. Please welcome Kerry Washington. Look at that, Kerry. You see that? Did you see it? No, that's what they're doing.
Incredible. That was
right now.
such a beautiful introduction.
I mean, it's just what I do. It
is what you do. It is
what I do.
But I like it. It makes me feel good. I like
it.
Thank you.
If you feel good, then I'm going to feel great. I want to say first and foremost, thank you. Thank you for doing this. You heard what I said in the introduction. It's like this is an opportunity to just talk, create dialogue, and within the dialogue that we have and that we create, it's always done in the hopes that the listeners will walk away with an understanding of you that they didn't have before the conversation. That's what I love about the conversation. So let's start from the beginning, right?
Okay.
I'm talking to Kerry Washington, this talent that has had such a tremendous amount of success throughout her career. And, you know, I always like to start before the success. I always like to know the reason for the entry. You know, why acting? Why this? What was it that made you say, this is what I want to do? And when was the time that idea came about?
This is Gold Mines, hosted by Kevin Hart. Now back to Gold Mines with host Kevin Hart.
So I was a very dramatic child. I had like very big feelings, and I have a mother who was not about that life.
Okay.
My mom is like a retired professor of education, and she is like stoic and graceful and elegant and smart and all the things. And then she had this child, me, who was just like a walking id, just like tears and laughter and big and loud and ideas and questions. And she was like, oh my God. So she put me in children's theater company. Like every day after school I had something, because she was like, I have to burn this energy out like a Jack Russell. She just was like, you got to be in gymnastics, ballet. But one of the things she did was this children's theater company where I could go on stage and be like a toy boat or whatever it is we were doing. And that really stuck for me. It was the theater, because in the theater company I didn't have to choose. You know, I could still like do the backflips from gymnastics and do the singing, dancing from choir. Like on stage I could kind of not let go of any of the things I really liked. But I never thought that it would be a career for me. I did not see it as a viable career for me, because I thought that if you wanted to be an actress, you had to want to be famous. And you had to want to be like on the cover of magazines and stuff. And I did not see that for myself. Like I just didn't think that I was that girl. So I didn't really pursue acting or think that it was even a choice as a job until I was much older. I was in college, even though I went to college on a theater scholarship, but I was in college and I learned about actors unions. And I was
This is so dope. It's so dope already just to hear you. First of all, you're speeding by so many like unbelievable things. I mean, going to college for theater school, my mother starting this other school, my me being an emotional child, my mom not dealing with it, but her being, it's like, I'll go and I'll tap into it, but I just want to let you know this is already exactly what I thought it would be. Okay, so your scholarship, I get the scholarship. Like you can't just say this shit as if it's just like, man, that's what I got the scholarship. And then I went to theater school. Like this is all astronomically unbelievable already. Okay, so continue.
So I was doing this like summer conservatory acting program, and I learned about actors unions. And so I come from a family where people are in unions. I have a cousin who's in the elevator union. My mom was in the teachers union. So unions are for working people. So I was like, okay, if there's an actors union, that means there must be a whole lot of people who make a living as an actor who are never famous. So maybe I could pursue this thing and just have the goal of being a working actor who does what I love to do for a living. And I don't have to want to be famous. And so that's what kind of gave me the courage to go for it. I gave myself 1 year after college. If I could book something big in that 1 year, then I would try. And if not, I would go back to school and either get like a law degree or a master's.
See, once again, just like a shoulder shrug of the uncommon being so common. Yeah, like, year one, I'm gonna do it. And like if I don't make it big or book something big, I'm just gonna be a lawyer. I'm gonna be a lawyer like a doctor. Right? Okay. So like already, let's dissect this. Okay. So when you talk about your family, you talk about your mother. Where are you from, Kerry?
So I grew up in the boogie down Bronx. That's where I'm from. And that's where my mother's from. My mother, I'm like on my mother's side, my grandparents came to this country from Jamaica through Ellis Island. Like their names are on the wall by the Statue of Liberty. They came here and they settled in New York. And so my mom was born in New York. On my dad's side, it's a couple generations of Brooklyn. And before that, South Carolina.
Wow.
So I'm like a real New Yorker.
Yes.
And I think that's also part of it because I grew up so close to the arts. Like we didn't have a lot of money, but I would go with my mom to Times Square and we would stand on that half price ticket line where you could stand and you would get to the board and it would have all the shows that had a couple seats that weren't sold yet. And you would pay 50% and just get to see a great show. You might be like in the way back or sometimes there would be like surprise amazing seats. And so I got to see all these incredible Broadway shows growing up in New York.
How old were you around that time?
I mean, I started really young. I must have been like 6 or 7 when I went to my first Broadway show. And it was often a gift. Like I remember when I graduated from elementary school, my dad and I went to go see Into the Woods, which is my favorite musical to this day. That was my gift graduating from elementary school.
To go see a musical. So you pretty much were like, this was life. This was life early on. You talk about your mom, dad, and you said your dad's side, of course, your mom's side. Only child, brothers, sisters, other people? Only child. Hence the emotion.
Yeah. Yes, true. And I don't know. So I wrote this memoir last year about the fact that just a few years ago, when I was like 40, my parents sat me down and told me for the first time that my dad is not my biological father.
Wow.
Yes.
For the first time.
Yeah, for 40.
Why,
this was a secret that they kept for 40 years.
Why did they feel you needed to know now? Like if you made it 40 years with this secret, why drop the bomb? It's like I want to compare this to the person that's 60 years old that gets braces. And you're like, well, you're kind of
at this point.
At this point, like what do you like we're on the I think you should just ride it out. Like you want to correct them for the last 15? You want to get the last 15 years?
So this is what happened, Kev. So I when Scandal was ending, Skip Gates, who has that show Finding Your Roots on PBS.
Yes.
Haven't you done it? You've done it, right?
Yes, I know exactly what it is. Yes.
Okay. Yes. Your episode is incredible. Okay.
Yes.
So Skip Gates called me and said, you haven't had the time. I've been trying to get you on the show. You haven't been able to do it. Now that Scandal's ending, let's do it. And I was like, yes, let's do it. This is going to be great. And I called my parents because my mom does all this genealogy stuff for Jamaica. She can trace her family back to like Scottish pirates that landed in Jamaica. Like it's crazy. But there's a lot we didn't know on my dad's side. So I was like, this is great. Let's do it. I told my parents and my dad started having panic attacks.
Oh my God, he's shitting himself.
I was like, what's going on, you guys? God. What's the big deal? Like, this is going to be so cool. And I was like, what are you worried about? That like, we're going to find out a great grandparent was a pimp? Like, that's dope. Like, let's do it. That'll be so fun. But there was a whole other level of secrecy. Okay, I can only assume that this type of information rocked you to the core. core.
off the back. Okay. But at the same time, just playing devil's advocate, I mean, a secret being kept from anybody for that amount of time is just like, why? Ouch. But then, attaching it to the level of love and the commitment to raising you to be the best possible woman that you not only are and have become, but that you could be. I think all of that stuff has to go into account as well. It's like, a secret is a secret, but a secret with effort behind it is a little different. This one seems
100%.
like, it seems like a
that
layered
was
version.
That's a lot of the journey of the memoir is like, first of all, when they told me I did feel like my whole world turned upside down, but I also felt so excited and like, it was like the metaphor I use is that it's almost like there was this puzzle on the wall in our home that always had this one piece. It was like a puzzle of New York City, and somebody took like a Snoopy puzzle piece and jammed it in where there was a missing piece, and we all walked by it and pretended that it was normal, but something was off. Like something was off in my family, and I knew, but I didn't know what I didn't know. So when they told me, it was almost like a sense of relief. Like, oh, this is why I've always been a little uncomfortable in my skin. This is why I've always wondered why I had a disconnect with my dad. This is why I've always felt like there was something like a veil between my parents and I, where people would say like, oh, I talk to my mom every day. She's my best friend. And I'd be like, I would not know what that felt like in a million years. So it suddenly was like an opportunity for my family to be real, to
real,
get
authentic,
real and be honest. Yes. Yeah. And for some reason, like by the grace of God, because I looked over at my dad and he was so upset that he had to tell me this. And I think he was afraid that it would change our relationship.
Of course.
And somehow I had the wherewithal in that moment to say to him, Dad, every time that I have said I love you up until this moment, it has been on the condition of a lie. Like there has been some part of you that thought she loves me because she thinks I'm her dad. And now I get emotional, even just like every time I talk about it, it makes me, now I get to love you truly unconditionally. Like now you get to see that I know the truth of our relationship and nothing changes. Like you get to be loved in truth.
That's beautiful. It's beautiful and heavy at the same time. And I'm willing to bet like that it probably like created the opportunity for this amazing light within himself to finally shine. Right? Because it's like,
yeah, because you're right. He is like, what an incredible dad. Like you and I both know, like coming where we come from, there were so many dads who didn't show up, who couldn't show up, who, for whatever reason were not present. And here's a man who was like, I don't care where the sperm comes from. You're mine. You will be mine. You will so much be mine that I will forget that there's any other way of thinking about this. It'll never be talked about. You are mine. I am yours. Like that. It's such a fierce love that he gave me.
I love the depth just in you already. We're I'm serious. Like we're what, maybe 15 minutes into the conversation, and already 20 minutes in, already we have discovered an amazing upbringing and just like discovery, and you and being this kid that was, I want to say engulfed into this space of theater, into this world of like talent that you got to see on a regular. And it only sparked the interest for you to do. And that interest led you to a school to pursue and do. And from that, the idea of gamble and chance is like something that we all are faced with in this career. And your gamble was attached to a timeline. And in that timeline, you said that you had to do something. And if you didn't do it, you would go and do these things, right? And I want to know, like now, as we're discovering so much, I want to know like what the discovery was of the moment when you did the thing that you gave yourself like a period to do. Like, what did you book? What was the thing that actually took place that made you go, okay, shit, I'm gonna do it. I'm not gonna go and be a doctor. All right. Now,
Right.
no doctor, no doctor, no lawyer, just the highest levels of profession, by the way. No doctor, no lawyer, guys. I'm not going to do
I
it.
would have never made it through medical school, but
Yeah,
I thought
I'm
like
not gonna do
maybe
it.
I could be like a counselor, like a
Yeah.
psychologist, or a
Yeah,
lawyer.
that's easy. The easy stuff. Got it. Right. I'm not going to do it. Guys,
I mean, at
I'm going to do
least
this.
at least in those paths, there is like a structure to how you do it. You know, like if you're going to be a clinical psychologist, there's a plan. And I think there's a part of me that is drawn to that kind of structure because it's not as scary. Like in what we do, there's no plan. Like you are
Yes.
constantly taking these steps of faith and hoping that the net appears when you leap, you know?
Yes.
So in that first year, I got so lucky, and I really do say lucky because I know how blessed I am. I work my ass off. I work very hard, and I know that I'm talented, but I have also always been in acting classes with people who are as talented or more talented than I am. And I know that. So I know a lot of this is just like there, but for the grace of God. And in that first year, I got this really beautiful, tiny little independent film that shot in Brooklyn that was like literally our transportation department was like a bunch of Metro cards, and our wardrobe department was a trip to Salvation Army and Walmart. And it was so bare bones. We were stealing shots on the subway because we couldn't afford permits. But that movie went to Sundance, was like critically acclaimed at Sundance, and then got nominated for Independent Spirit Awards. And I got nominated for an Independent Spirit Award.
Wow.
And then while I was making that movie, I auditioned for Save the Last Dance. So that was my second film, was like a big, huge Hollywood tentpole, like, you know, at that time, such a big, fancy studio.
You know, I used to ask myself, like, you know, you go through the stages of comparison early on in a career, right? Because the grass is always greener over there. And I'm like, oh my God, man, like, you know, if I could have his career. I used to be so envious.
Who would you
Sean.
do that to? Who did you compare?
I mean, I did it to what's his name that starred in Save the Last Dance? What's his name?
Oh, Sean Patrick Thomas.
Sean Patrick Thomas. Yeah, Sean Patrick Thomas. Because you got to think, like, in the earlier days, you know, Sean Patrick Thomas, Derek Luke, you know, Columbus Short. These were the guys that were like really just at the forefront of, like, you know, our culture and the new momentum or the new wave of who was coming. And as a comedian, I wasn't getting the opportunity to audition, or I wasn't getting in front of the right people. And I was like, oh my God, man, if I could only have the chances, or if I could only do. Yeah. And I was just envious. So when you bring up Save the Last Dance, it just makes me think of that time and how amazing, you know, Sean, who I know, who I've met and, you know, throughout the years, developed a great relationship with. But during that time, I was like, man, these movies are so great. And he's like, how, like what, how, when? It was
so impossible. When you're on the outside of that circle you want to be in, it feels so impossible.
It does. But then it becomes possible. So for you in this moment, you get the movie. This is your second movie, by the way. Like, okay, shit, this guerrilla attempt to make this like this fucking first movie that it was all right. I mean, we're just doing some cool shit and I want to do it and this is great. You get critically acclaimed, it gets success, and all right, your name is just attached to something that has some spice, some spark to it. But Save the Last Dance is different. This is a big studio movie now, a fucking big studio movie. And it actually performed and went. In this moment, did you know, like, did you have a feeling of, oh, wow, like I'm going to be able to do this at a high level? Or was it like, this is coming fast? Like, what was your mindset attached to this stage? Cause it's a very quick transition, you know, for number two to be something of that magnitude. Yeah. So for you, how did you process that?
So the first movie hadn't come out yet when I was auditioning for Save the Last Dance. So I was like a nobody. Like there wasn't even any sparkle yet. When that first movie came out, it was a big deal because the review in the New York Times, I'll never forget it because my phone started blowing up because the review was talking about all the girls in the movie. And the sentence was simply, Kerry Washington is a miracle. And I was like, what? In the New York Times?
Cue emotion. Cue emotion.
And my mother was like, settle down. But I did. So when I auditioned for Save the Last Dance, it came down to me and another huge pop star.
Okay.
And I was like, I wanted this so badly. I wanted this movie so badly. I remember working so hard on my audition. And then they offered it to me, and my team told me to say no because they were offering me nothing, right? It was my first studio movie. The independent movie hadn't come out yet. So the money was zero. The trailer was nothing. The deal was horrible. It was like, it was the minimum that you could offer somebody. And at the time I was like, listen, this might be part of why they offered it to me, because I know I was up against a pop star and she was going to make a different kind of dent in that budget. So I'm not saying I'm not talented, but I'm also saying like, I need to bet on me in this moment. If they're willing to bet on me, I need to bet on them and think about this moment as an investment. Because also like a bunch of agents and managers, like they're comparing numbers to whatever they were going to offer the pop star. But I was like, I'm working 4 jobs right now. I'm substitute teaching. I'm working in a restaurant. I'm teaching yoga on the side. I'm babysitting. Like I'm doing everything. So whatever you think is nothing is going to make a big dent in my life. And I love this movie and it's what I want to do. And I believe in it and I believe in me. Let's go.
So dope.
And so I did it. My manager was so pissed. She went out and got drunk and then she sent the bill. I'm still with this manager today because she loves me so hard. She got drunk, sent the bill to the casting director and was like, I'm so pissed about this deal. You're paying my tab. But
well, you know what though? I think that what you just said is so important for people to hear, right? And, you know, the concept of betting on yourself sometimes gets muddled. Like it's something that presents itself to be like in a fog to some, because the opportunity that people think are great for you is sometimes best for them. Right. And representation sometimes doesn't realize that the thing that you think that you're doing that's in the best, you know, the best idea of service for me may not actually be. And sometimes if it's connected to the financial tab, you know, of what you're getting in the beginning stages, like those are tough conversations. And to understand like, the conversation after I do this can be bigger to where the demand for me is something completely different. I can't have the argument when I have no resume, when there is no reason for me to demand more.
Everybody has to start somewhere. You have to start somewhere. You have to be willing. I mean, I have a cousin who calls me the longshoreman of acting because he's like, you do it like a longshoreman. Like you show up where there's work, you work hard, you do the work, you work the hours. You're not in it for the glitz and glam. And I like the glitz and glam. Like I've come to see like, oh, I can be on the cover of magazines. And I love a great fashion moment and all of that. But the thing that drives me the most is the joy that I get in the process. I love it. I love it.
Well, you've also, you know, through your career, what I think I love the most about just your rise is the material. You know what I mean? Like the choices that you were able to attach yourself to, like, you know, you have an amazing variety in resume. And, you know, I will say that the gamble itself paid off. And it just seemed like it continued to, because there was a moment where I think it was like after the Spike Lee movie, once again, I'm watching from the sidelines. This is when I'm just watching everybody fucking do cool shit. Yeah, I'm like, God damn it. What the fuck, man? Where was I? Am I getting are we all on the same? Do they know, like, when they say black male, are y'all, where am I at? Am I what the fuck, man? I just me slapping the table. But the conversation attached to you is just like, she's got it. Like, she's next. And you know, the continued starring vehicles that presented themselves, of the association and attachment to amazing cast. You know, there's a moment that we all have to get to when you realize, like, I'm a part of the now A-list. I am considered a A-list talent. And a A-list talent, the association with and who and how it changes is different. So did you have a period where you're like, oh my God, like I'm in the hierarchs of the business. I'm a game changer and a premium association, like to anything that I decide to do. When did that thing happen for you? And don't lie to me and say that it didn't, because it happens to us all where you realize, and it's not just a check. It's not the number attached. It's not the check. It's not the check. It's the understanding of where you are in the business.
Okay, so first of all, I think it's really important for me to say that did not happen without a lot of bumps in the road. Like, I love your story about standing in the wings at Upfronts and then being like, give me your mic. Like, your show's not going.
Yeah,
like
I'm sorry.
That story, and I love it because before Scandal, I had been in 2 pilots for television. Both shows got picked up, but I was fired. Like, I was replaced on both pilots. Like, the show was great, but that girl. Yeah,
we like the show. Yeah.
But she's not moving on.
All right, let's all just real quick.
It's a pass. For me,
let's agree. Let's agree that we love this show. Do we love the show? Yeah, no, seriously, the show's great.
Can we agree that there's a weak link?
Yeah. On a count of 3, let's all just say who we think it is on a count of 3. 1, 2, Kerry Washington. All right, good. We're all aligned. Let's just get her out. Let's get Kerry out of it, and then I think we'll be good. Yeah. Oh my. Like, what the fuck, man?
Not once. Not once. Twice.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
I auditioned for this movie that I will not name. I will not name what this movie was. But when I tell you it was a big deal movie, it was one of those, when those movies come along that like every Black actor is like, this is the one.
This is it. Oh, we got to see this shit. Yeah.
This is it. So I go in, I audition, I leave, and literally people are calling my agent to congratulate her. People are reaching out to my lawyer to say, like, Kerry knocked it out of the park. Like, it's Kerry. God. It's done. And I go to bed that night. I'm like, this is the one that's going to change it all.
Okay.
2 days later, they want me to come in for one more read because there was an actress who came along who the director is kind of into.
Yeah.
So now they want to do a chemistry read. And they want to do
it's just a quick one.
It's just a quick chemistry.
It's
already mine.
It's
mine to lose. It's mine to lose.
Yes. By the way, these days are normal. These are normal, all the time, right? All the time. And also, you'll be fine.
She's a model. Yeah. So don't worry about it.
You're going to be fine.
It's going to be fine.
Yeah, you're good. Yeah.
The moment I walked into the chemistry read, I knew I had lost it. And God. The whole town was like announcing that I was doing this movie. And I walked in and knew that it was going to be the biggest embarrassment of my career.
Oh my God.
It was wild. I watched it slip out of my hands. I watched it. So anyway.
But what is a career without that? A career without that is nothing.
That's right.
It's nothing.
I always say to people, you have to collect the no's along the way. It gets you closer to your yeses. You got to be willing to, because nobody gets through this unscathed. It's just a part of the job. It's part of the job.
So, okay, before you answer the moment of realizing, okay, you're A-list, okay, you're premium. And that moment, okay, I mean, Jesus Christ, these shows are happening, but they fired me. Oh my God, I just lost the biggest opportunity ever. In this moment, right? Because these are, I call it kick the can moments. This is when you go outside and you just take a walk and you just stare. You're staring at the floor, kicking things.
Montage.
Yes. What was the low? Like, what did this do for you in your mind in that moment? Like, was this like a fuck this business moment? Was it I can't believe it? Like what? Like how bad did it get at that time?
I have tried to quit acting at least 10 times. There have been at least 10 times in my career where I'm like, I'm done. I don't need this shit. I don't need to. You know, there's that Brene Brown quote about it's some president, maybe it was Theodore Roosevelt, like you stand in the ring and you gotta stand in the ring and do the fight. And sometimes I'm like, I don't want to be in the ring. I don't want to. I didn't come here to be a gladiator. No, I can't. I don't want to do that. And that was one of those moments of like, I don't need this. Like I already struggle with my self-esteem. I don't need other people telling me that the show works better without me. And what's super interesting is in both shows, the reason was like, I wasn't urban enough.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Not the black thing.
Yeah.
Not the.
So like there was one way to be black, and I wasn't black enough in that moment. Neither. I mean,
she looks
was
black
written that way.
She looks black.
She doesn't
but
sound
she's not
black enough.
Yeah, but when she say come in the house, she don't have that. Get in the house. Like that's we.
I want no growl.
Yeah. Like, do you understand what I'm saying? Like when she, because the line here says like get in the house, and she's saying get in the house. But I don't know the way that I figured it. She's like get in the house. Like that's what I want.
That's right.
Yeah, we're gonna find somebody that does that.
Can it be a little more sassy? Like we just want her to be more sassy.
Yeah, you don't move your neck when you talk. Can you give me a?
Yeah, I got Bronx for sure. Yeah. But I don't. It's not my first gear. You know what I mean? It's not my first gear.
Is there any way when you say the line, can you give me a finger thing? Like, I don't know, like maybe like.
Can you like? Yeah.
Oh my God.
All the things. So yeah, it was hard. I thought about quitting acting. Here's what happens. Here's the beautiful thing. Like one of the shows, oh man, it was such a fun show. We shot it in Miami. I was bonding with all the girls. Ugh. So I don't get this job. That whole cast gets paid to like live in Miami for 6 months while the network figures out what the show's going to be and how to recast my role. And they're like getting paid to live in Miami, and I'm starving. I'm still substitute teaching yoga, working at the restaurant. After Save the Last Dance, I'm still doing all that stuff because, I made no money on Save the Last Dance. And I get a script for Ray. And I'm like, this is incredible. If I had not been fired from that TV show,
you wouldn't have got Ray?
I would not have been able to do Ray.
Holy shit.
And that movie changed my life. That was the first time that I went to the Golden Globes, that I was on the cover of the Vanity Fair Hollywood issue, that I got offered my first endorsement deal with Movado. Like that was the beginning. It changed my life, that movie.
The door that you felt closed and slammed shut was a door that needed to close to redirect you to this other door that you was going to open that had so many other doors behind it. It's insane. It's insane how life works.
You have to trust.
You really do. You really do.
What's yours is yours. Like what's meant to be is meant to be. As long as I'm showing up and doing my part, then I can trust. I always say there's that metaphor of like, if I see the bus coming, I have to run as fast as I can to catch that bus. If I miss the bus, it wasn't my bus. But I only know that if I ran as fast as I could. If I like stroll down the block, that might have been my bus, right? Like I have to do my part. But if I do my part and it's not mine, then it's not meant to be mine. I have to trust that.
What did you do when you just said you got the material, you get the script? Like, what was the balls to the wall approach to securing Ray? Like, was it just, I'm gonna study and restudy and study and study and study again and make sure that I'm over prepared? Like, was there anything unconventional that you did to get ready for Ray?
This is Gold Mines, hosted by Kevin Hart. Now more from Kevin Hart on Gold Mines.
I'm such a nerd, so I love research. I love thinking about my characters like an anthropologist. I like to do research about the time period, and I made sure that when I went into the audition, my hair was like roller set in the thing, and I wore something that looked like the period, and I did some accent work going into it. And then because I was specifically auditioning for the wife, right? Like I knew that there were incredible women's roles in that film. I mean, you go back and watch that movie now, it's like Regina King kills it, Angelou Ellis kills it. Like everybody's incredible. But I knew I was auditioning for the wife. So when I came in, they did an old school Hollywood screen test when it came down to, I think, like 3 of us. And I came with cookies. Like I baked cookies and brought them to the crew for the screen test so that I had that like very 1950s, 1960s maternal vibe. I wanted that feeling, you know.
It's the extra, it's also the extra credit, right? And the extra thought. Like it, I did I think it was Fool's Gold. And this is like the biggest thing. The audition was like, okay, Kevin, you got to go in and you got to figure this out. They want you to read. And the character's name was Big Bunny. And I went and bought a fucking rabbit. I bought a rabbit and walked into the audition.
With the rabbit.
And sat and did the whole read with the rabbit on my chest. Suit on, and like the rabbit's moving, and I just didn't even acknowledge it, and I'm just talking, and you know the guy was it's like but it's the thing after the thing. So like you baking cookies, bringing them, the thought of she's homey, she's this, like it's so much that goes into that, and as soon as you leave, the conversation attached to you and your gesture is automatic. It's automatic. So was this it?
Also, it also kept me, I want to say this. It's always important when I go into an audition, I don't always bring cookies, but it's always important that I go in with the spirit of giving, not getting. When I go into an audition or a meeting, like, what am I going to get out of this? It's the wrong energy because people don't feel like they walk away better. I want people to walk away from a meeting with me feeling like they got, you know, it's like when I first saw the price on the ticket for Beyonce's concert, I was like, what? 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 Like, maybe we don't have to be in VIP. Like, what are we talking about? But you leave a Beyonce concert feeling like you owe her money.
Yeah, I get it.
Because she has given you everything.
Everything.
And that's how I always try to go into an audition feeling like I'm giving you everything. Even if what I'm giving you is clarity that I'm not right for the role, that's fine. I came here to make your life better, whatever it takes.
It is not only something, I love the breakdowns, and I love what you're like. I love the breakdowns, I love the examples, and I love what you're associating it to because it's true. It's true. Right? And the understanding that you walk away with after, you know, encountering these moments that you're talking about and the discovery, it's groundbreaking. It's groundbreaking, the realization that you're able to attach and put to.
But you know now that we're on the other side of the casting table a lot of times and people are coming in to read for us, you can feel when an actor's hungry. Yeah. When they come in too thirsty and they don't come in to give, they just need. Yeah. You don't want to work with that person.
Yeah. It's aggressive.
You're like, that person's too, they're just so thirsty.
It's aggressive. It's too much. It's too much. Yeah. It's too much. I got it to where I no longer go in the room. Like when it's at the final 3 is when I get into it. But I can't be a part of the you know, no, I can't do it. I'm not meant to go through that process. I like it when it's down and it's confined, and then because it's just too much. You're just looking at too much, and it's, you know, it's a lot to take in and walk away with every day. It's a lot.
When was it for you? When did you feel like I'm A-list?
Comedy. Mine's is attached to comedy. You know, the stand up. Once the stand up changed and went into like the theaters and then like the arenas and then like, okay, shit. Oh boy. You know, you get 15, 20,000 people coming to see you on the regular. Then it's like, well, the demand, and then the demand matched and mirrored with starring opportunities. But they had no choice at that point. They had no choice but to say, he's putting asses in seats. These asses in seats can also like easily be movie tickets. And I think my real one.
Oh, go ahead. Your real one.
No, I was gonna say the real one is probably after Think Like a Man. After Think Like a Man, shit changed. After Think Like a Man, it was boom, 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 boom. And I kind of went nonstop. I probably did like a good 10 to 12 movies back to back after that. So between Think Like a Man, Ride Along, 1, 2, About Last Night, Wedding Ringer, Think Like a Man 2. It was like boom, 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 boom. And I was like, okay, shit. I was like, it's different now. It's different and it's real. And I never stopped touring while doing it. So the tours just kept getting bigger. And the global side of it just started to get stupid. And now I'm out the country, in any country, and doing the same numbers that I was doing in the States. And that's when you just kind of go, oh, okay, this is it. You want to know something funny, Kerry? Like, you brought up Beyonce. I go to Beyonce concerts for motivation. So like when Beyonce goes on tour and she announces it, Beyonce's production and just level of commitment to putting on a show, it's unreal.
Yes.
It's unreal. Yes. So you walk away from that and you go, I got to go back and work on the craft so that when I do go, I know that I'm in a position to put on the best possible version of myself. And it's always good to have things that you can pull from that inspire or uplift or motivate. Beyonce's been a major motivating factor for me in the world of show business.
It's funny. I thought about her when I was writing my memoir, which I want you to go listen to now because I think you would really love it. And I read it. So
I have to.
It's very quick.
What's the title? It's
called Thicker Than Water. It's a New York Times bestseller, sir.
Thicker than water. Okay. All right. Yeah. I mean, Jesus Christ. Okay. Thicker than water. And by the way, to my listeners, I want you guys to do the same. I've been assigned with an amazing piece of homework that I'm actually going to do, and I would love it if you guys did as well. Right? I mean, we're learning so much about her, but I think this gives us opportunity to learn more. So go ahead. I want to hear.
So finish. I remember watching when I was writing. I rewatched Lemonade because to me that was the most personal work that Beyonce had created. And she really, I remember watching it and thinking like, does Jay know that she made this? Like the things she's saying in the beginning, you're like, and then you get to the end and he's like sitting next to her in bed and you're like, this is so personal, so artwork. Intimate. Yes. And I felt like when I was writing my memoir, I didn't want to write a book that was like, and then this happened, and then this happened, and then I worked with Jamie, and then 10 years later, I worked with him again. Right? Like I wanted to write literature. I wanted to write something that was eloquent and beautiful. And I just made up a word because I said, I meant to say elegant or eloquent. Anyway, all the things. And, but I wanted to have the courage to be really, really personal. And I have been so private about my life. Like it is so hard to find pictures of my kids on the internet. Namdi and I are very private. We had a secret wedding. Like we don't talk about our marriage. Like we're very, very private. So for me to write a memoir was so different and weird, but I kept looking to work like Lemonade to say like, I can make a work of art that is deeply, deeply personal that I can be very proud of.
I like that you,
really love that.
I like your timing of doing it though. Like, I consider like you, Don Cheadle, Samuel L. Jackson. Let me think of another example. Angela, like people that have done amazing things in a business, but their private life is private. Like, there are no conversations attached. There is no, like to your point, photos, paparazzi, all of this stuff. Like I think that there's a choice that's made to make sure that the work, of course, is one thing and the life and the happiness or sad, whatever it is attached to real life is another. And I think you've done a great job of putting that stake in the ground. And, when you do it over the course of time, it's understood. Like people don't pry to those where it's very clear that the distance is intentional. So making the choice to do a memoir.
I'm going to share another kicking the can moment with you.
I like this. I love your kicking the can moments.
So when I was in, there is a life before Namdi where I was engaged to be married. It was around the time of Ray. And so
I remember this.
Like, everything was changing. It was exploding. And so I got offered the cover of a magazine at the time. It was called In Style Weddings. In Style magazine had a whole weddings issue that came out 4 times a year. I was going to be the first Black actress on the cover of In Style Weddings, and in all these gorgeous white gowns. It was so special because I was engaged. I had this very, very public relationship, public engagement. But when the engagement ended, because that magazine only came out 4 times a year, all over New York on newsstands, I had to walk around and see myself on the cover of a bridal magazine for 4 months. And I was like, I will never do this again. I will never do this again. I don't want my public, I don't want to have to, and everybody wanted to talk to me about my engagement ending because I had been so public about being engaged in my relationship and the things. And so I was like, from going forward from here, I need to create some space for myself because I couldn't handle, it's like I didn't want to leave my apartment in New York because every newsstand was like me in a bridal magazine. And I was, I was not getting married.
I'm the complete opposite. Oh, Kevin a jackass. I'm as transparent as they can get. I don't give 2 shits. Yeah, I did it. Yeah, I fucking did it. Yeah, I love
that about you. It's very courageous. It's also part of doing stand-up, though. You have to be willing to do that, right?
Yes, you have to be willing to be vulnerable, self-deprecation, honesty, just real life, good, bad, ugly. I think in stand-up, it serves for the greater of good if you do it correctly. The one thing I cannot not discuss before we finish is like we've talked about all of this stuff, the world of you, and you talked about the pilots getting fired from a TV in this world, right? But as a movie star and a television star, like there's not many that play the game of balance and that have done it to the point where they can do this, do that, hop in, hop out, and still find the star in the sky. For you, when Scandal presented itself, right? Like these are all lightning in a bottle moments. Okay, you didn't go into Scandal knowing, holy shit, Scandal's going to fucking be the biggest show in the world. Scandal's going to go on to be multiple seasons and fucking have the highest ratings, and you had no idea, right? This was not something that you can predetermine. It's a great opportunity, a great project, and you know what? I get to work with this great showrunner, writer. Oh my God, like there's so much, but this could be good. When it takes off, when Scandal takes off, are you like, holy shit? And was it like a decision at some point for you? Like, was it ever like, well, do I want to do this for fucking, 5 seasons? Do I want to be on this show or series? Or do I want the movies? Like, did you ever have to play that game like to yourself of decision? Or were you like, I'm just going to ride the ride. I'm just going to fucking ride the ride.
So when the script for Scandal was floating around town, there was a lot of talk about how there hadn't been a Black woman as the number one on a network in almost 40 years. And I was in my mid-30s at the time. So in my lifetime, we had not seen it. And so I was like, I don't know if the world is ready for this show. I'm going to do everything in my power to make it a success, but I don't know. And I walked into my first meeting with Shonda. We had a meeting first before I auditioned. And I remember I got off the elevator and I saw a big sign that said Shonda Land. And I was like, I don't know if this is going to work out for me. Like, I was like, it's her land? Like, okay. I was like, I don't know about this.
Oh, shit. Okay. This is crazy.
So then she comes in and she sits down. Of course, like I fall in love with her immediately. And she says to me, are you sure you want to do television? You have this great film career. And if this show works, we could be doing this for 7 years. And I was like, in my head, I was like, that shit's never going to happen.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Right.
Nobody's worried about that, girl.
Look,
Nobody's worried about that.
Write the pilot, lady. And let's just do it. Let's just take our time. Yeah.
If my record is true, you're going to fire me from the pilot anyway.
By the way, I may not be here after we get the network testing. So how about we just get past that? All right.
So I really wasn't thinking. I mean, who knew that Olivia Pope would be a cultural icon? Like
icon.
I had no idea that would happen. And I really didn't, I just wanted to make a great show that we were proud of. So I was shocked. I was shocked. Yeah. Really shocked.
You are in the Hall of Fame of television. Like, I've been saying this for years, like they have to create one. It should be something that exists. Because there's so many.
Her that's a great idea, by the way.
It is.
Her white hat and coat are at the Smithsonian in the Museum of African American History.
Holy shit. Huge.
Crazy.
When you're talking about impactful characters that have graced TVs across the world, Olivia Pope and Olivia Pope's journey. I mean, you're talking about truly talking about one of the best runs on TV, right? And as a person that got invested in the series, was invested into you, your character, the relationship with the president, on, off, why. Like, it was such a great story of ups and downs, turmoil. You tapped into so much. And it's like, when you're in these things, the big thing is like realizing that you're in it. So when you guys are showing up and it's season 2 now after the success, like, are you showing up to set in disbelief? Like, oh, fuck. Like, the conversation attached to this is insane.
Yeah, it was weird. It was that thing you were talking about where it just was, at a certain point, it was weird. It was like, Oprah's coming to set to interview us, and I'm going to do the cover of Vanity Fair, and I'm going to, and not the Hollywood issue, just the cover, like crazy. It felt like a nonstop. It was wild. Getting to guest host on SNL, like that's just, it was such an exciting, wonderful time. But I guess to your question, I did feel in those scandal years like I really wanted to maximize on 3 cylinders. On more than 3, probably on 4. Like I wanted for the show to be everything that it could be. I wanted to still build out my film career and take advantage of those opportunities. I wanted to take care of my personal life. In those scandal years, I got married. I had 2 children. And I wanted to make sure I was growing out my civic engagement and political work. So I was really trying to, it was like, I did a season, I got married. I did a season, I did a movie. I did Django in between season 1 and 2. And then I had a kid. And then I did Confirmation, where I played Anita Hill on HBO. And then I had another kid. And then it was like I maximized every off season to really try to, fulfill my potential. And that's always my fear. I think if there's a fear that drives me, it's like, I want to make sure that I'm fulfilling my potential, that I'm not disappointing God or my ancestors, whoever had a prayer for me and a dream for me. I want to make sure that I'm not walking away from opportunity.
That's so dope. Kerry, you're special. You really are.
But Kevin, okay, so I have one other homework assignment for you because so I have this new series now that I feel,
yes, I know.
First of all, I want you to see it because I'm really enjoying doing comedy.
Good.
But I want to have your take on it.
Okay.
Delroy Lindo's so funny, and I want to be doing more comedy. So I'm really interested to see what you think. But
fine, I'll do it. I'll do it. Oh, that's not where you're going? Okay.
I mean, if that's what you want to do, we'll figure that out.
Sorry.
But I also, my character plays somebody whose dad was in and out of prison her whole life. And so I'm so interested in how you feel about it in terms of how well we're telling that story.
I can give you so much information. Okay. As my dad was actually.
Like, you probably have ideas for where we should go in season 3.
Oh, tons. You want to talk prison? You want to talk father? You want to talk understanding? Yeah. What do you mean, dads? What do you mean he's where? When did he come back? The realization of what he did, how he did, what level. I can give you a whole bunch of shit. But it's not a shock to me that you're doing comedy. Like you going like, I'm enjoying comedy. Like it's no shock. Like, it's just about the first step in the direction of, but you've done it. You've been a part of comedic things. So it's in there, right?
Do you want to do more drama, Kev?
Yeah. I'm gonna start fucking
You're
around.
really
Here's what I do. Here's what I do. I like to do things just to build the story. I'm a box checker, Kerry. So I go animation, I go action adventure, I go action comedy, then you go drama, then you can go dramedy, then you go thriller, which I haven't done yet, and the period piece, which I just did. So it's like, how many things can I check in a box to try to put a complete resume of all together at the end of the day? Like, that's how I approach it. So
where does
in
it come
stages.
from? That you just want to do all those different things, or you want to prove that you can do all those different things? Like, where does that?
I just want to do it just for me to say I did it.
Experience it.
Yeah, just to say you did it. Like, it's if the opportunities present themselves and you can be a part of the creative process, which we both can, like both of us are producing and developing and creating. So when you get in that space, well, it's all about where your mind can take you. How far does your creative lens see? What do you see that you don't feel other people see? What can you develop that other people don't have access to? So acquiring IP, acquiring stories, real moments, that's the priority of me and my machine, and putting myself in like really, really dope situations that people wouldn't expect. Like, True Story was a dope situation. This next thing that I got coming out is such a dope situation. And, I'm in a period piece with an accent and really in the 70s mindset. So it's going to fuck people up when they see it. And then coming out that, I'm going to do like a relationship, like think Sleepless in Seattle love story type of situation where like you haven't really seen me be really romantic on camera. Like all the things that I'm like, oh, this would be a great bump. This would be a great bonus in the direction of, and I've just been slow walking it. So that's where I have my fun. That's where I think the energy attached to the craft comes from, that, I desperately don't want to lose. So as much as I can put in front of me that's new, I feel like I can just be energized about it. And every day getting up is fun and it's exciting because I want to achieve the goal of completing said thing. That's how I look at it. So your homework assignments.
Yes.
Well, your homework assignments are fucking, I'm answering them, and I will fucking text you after. I will make you aware. I'm dead ass. I really want to get into the memoir though, because you saying that you opened up, I want to see like your definition of that. I want to see what that means. And I think that it's you going balls to the walls with the world of like discovery and feelings through those times and what you realize and what you've had to overcome and what stages and steps you took. And, like I love hardship. The stories of the wins are fine.
Do you find that, so here's why I'm asking this, because I wrote the memoir and toured it in between season 1 and 2 of Unprisoned. And I felt like after writing the memoir and sharing it with people, when I went back to film Unprisoned, the work was so much more like vulnerable and raw and funnier because there is that thing of like, there's no vanity in comedy, right? So I felt myself, I was like, oh, I have more keys at the comedic end of my piano right now. And it just felt like richer because I was like naked emotionally. And there was a lot that I went through that I was able to pour into my character. Like she goes into family therapy with her dad. And there was just a lot of parallels. So my question was, after you tour, like when you're working on material, do you feel like your work on film is sharper when you reveal new stuff in the stand-up?
The reason why I'm always active is for what you just said. It's a different level of sharp. You're always in practice. You're always in practice. You're always in a performance space. So although the memoir is attached to writing, you voicing your own memoir is a performance. And through that time period of you doing it and saying the things that you're saying, you're realizing and expressing emotion that's true to self, not true to page of creation. Right. It's true to self. Right. So now when you talk about going and like doing this other shit, well, you've tapped into like the idea, like I done said a lot of shit about myself that I worked hard to kind of keep to myself. But now that I've like let it out, I'm so comfortable in how I approach things and how I like attach myself.
Like creative courage almost.
Yeah. Yes. You don't, there is no bad choice. There's no bad choices. There's no bad attempts where at some point you know, there's that insecure thing attached to the craft of I want to do this, but I don't want people to think I'm stupid. This may be too aggressive. Is this too much if I try this? And then there's the concept of, hey, look, man, every take not going to be great, but I definitely want to have options. So in some of the options, I may play, I may tap into, or I may, go a little more, or I may do a little less, but I love the options.
It's great though. What really lends itself to that courage also is that we are at a place in our career where we're in the edit room, right? So when you're not in the edit room as a producer and you make choices where like some takes are good, some takes are bad, you're like, they're gonna use the bad take.
Yeah, oh, but Jesus Christ.
We're in the edit, right? So now we can say like, I need options. That was terrible. That's gold. Like we were able to craft it.
Absolutely. And I want to say that you're working with a legend as well. So I can only imagine how amazing Delroy is. Like, please, if nothing else, just tell him I'm not just a fan. Like I am engulfed in that guy's like career. And, I can't wait for the day where he gets his real flowers because the business owes it to him.
That was one of the reasons why I, as a producer, I was like, he's my only choice because he is on our Mount Rushmore of greats. He's a legend. And I knew that he would kill this. It was like, this character had to be somebody who was so smart, so sophisticated, so elegant, but who you could believe was a lifetime criminal. And Delroy is just, he's a beast. He's so fantastic. He makes us all better. Yeah.
A legend.
He has one gear. His one gear is excellence. That's it. There's no other gear for him. There's no other gear.
I concur. I agree. Yeah. So please, just if nothing else, send him those words. And I want to say, congrats. It's very hard to achieve television success twice. And it's very hard to do it while juggling the world of a multi-layered career. So as a New York Times bestseller, as a star in the place of acting, and film and TV, as a mother, as a wife, as somebody that represents the culture in a variety of special ways. I just want to say, keep going. You're important. And if you don't know that, you should. And I mean it. And to my listeners, let's all do ourselves a service and let's take a listen. Let's listen to the memoir, because when people do this and they take this step, I promise you that there's value and there's gold in the words that will be presented to us all. So let's all give ourselves the necessary and needed ammunition of new. Embrace the new. You never know what comes out from it. That's what Gold Minds is about, people. We get inside the minds of amazing people. And today was no different. We got inside the mind of Kerry Washington. Kerry, thank you. This was special.
Kevin, you're the best. Thank you so much.
Guys, I want to remind you that season 2 of Unprisoned is out. It's on Hulu now. Once again, you heard what I said. It's very hard to achieve television success twice. At some point, you have to attach it to the talent. At some point, you just got to realize that talent does what talent does, and they win. So give it a watch.
Gold Minds with Kevin Hart is a Sirius XM and Laugh Out Loud radio production and executive produced by Kevin Hart, Mike Stein, Brian Smiley, Eric Eddings, and Eric Weil. Produced by Danny Sellers and Leslie Guam. Engineered by Danny Sellers.